Now we're going to look at some pictures of parallel lines that are cut by a transversal. So looking at the picture here, we're going to see this picture for each of our examples. Our parallel lines are P and Q, and the transversal is N in all of these pictures. So we've got all of these relationships here, and we talked about those in the previous video. So now we're going to put those to use. So looking on this picture, we're supposed to mark each pair of corresponding angles with the same color. So I've got one color pen out right now. I'm going to mark a pair of corresponding angles. Now remember, corresponding means that they have to be in the same location on the two different lines that were cut by the transversal. So looking at this picture here, angle 1 is in the top left of the top line there, and angle 5 is in the top left of the bottom line. So angle 1 and angle 5 would be corresponding angles. So I'm going to mark those in this aqua color. And now I'll pick a different color. All right, another pair of corresponding angles here would be angles that are in the top right. So angle 2 is in the top right, and angle 6 is in the top right. Two more pair of corresponding angles here. So I'm going to go to green next. The bottom right is a location here where we could have some corresponding angles. So angle 4 and angle 8. And then there's one more pair of corresponding angles on here. We'll go red for this one. Angle 3, the bottom left, and angle 7, the bottom left of the lower line. And the next ones we're going to mark here are the same side interior angles. So same side is talking about the same side of the transversal, and interior means that it has to be between the two lines that were cut by the transversal. So looking at my picture here, a pair of same side interior angles would be 3 and 5. And then there's one more pair of same side interior angles. So we use a different color for that pair. Between the lines and on the same side of the transversal, we've also got 4 and 6. Our next relationship was alternate interior angles. Okay, so the alternate is talking about going on opposite sides of the transversal, and interior means that it has to be between the two lines that were cut. Now, remember, when we're talking about these alternate interior angles, we're not talking about adjacent angles, so not the ones right next to each other on either side of the transversal, but the ones that are between the two lines that are cut still. So on this picture here are alternate interior angles. A pair of them would be 3 and 6, opposite sides of the transversal, but still between the two lines. We'll get another color for the other pair. Another pair that's between the two lines and on opposite sides of the transversal would be 5 and 4. Okay, next up, we've got alternate exterior angles. So looking at this picture, the alternate again means opposite sides of the transversal. The exterior means it has to be outside of the two lines that were cut. So looking at this picture here, outside would be 1, 2, and 7, 8. And for alternate ones, if I'm using 1 on the top one, then the alternate one would have to be on the other side of the transversal and also on the other outside edge. So 1 and 8 are alternate exterior angles. And 2 and 7 are also alternate exterior angles. Opposite sides of the transversal and outside of the lines that were cut. All right, now, if the two lines that we're working with are parallel, as they were in those examples that we just saw, then we do end up with some special relationships between these pairs of angles, these special names that we have. So corresponding angles, if the two lines are parallel and they're cut by a transversal, then all of the corresponding angles are congruent. So they give us a picture here and they just give us one pair of corresponding angles, angle 2 and angle 6. But all of the corresponding angles are actually congruent. Now, on the first page, just before the first box of information that we have there, there's a link for a video. And that video does a really lovely job of it displaying this. So if you did not watch it on the way by, you should go back and look at that one. So corresponding angles are congruent. So that means this one and this one are congruent. And all of the other correspondings are also congruent. So top left and top left, bottom left and bottom left, bottom right and bottom right. Alternate interior angles. If the two lines are cut by a transversal, then the alternate interior angles are also congruent. So opposite sides of the transversal, but between the two parallel lines, those angles are also congruent. Okay, alternate exterior angles. Two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the alternate exterior angles are also congruent. So here's our transversal. These lines are parallel. That's what these markings mean. Exterior, so outside of the parallel lines, and on opposite sides of the transversal. Those are congruent. We also have a parallel lines conjecture. So if we can determine that we've got, here we go. Two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the corresponding angles are congruent, the alternate exterior angles are congruent, and the alternate interior angles are congruent. I said those out of order, but they're all there. Now the converse of that statement is also true. So if two lines are cut by a transversal to form congruent corresponding angles, congruent alternate interior angles, or congruent alternate exterior angles, then that means that the lines are parallel. So if you do have those angle relationships that you know, then you can derive from that the two lines that were cut are parallel. Okay, and then there's one more relationship, and this is for same side interior angles. So if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the same side interior angles are supplementary. So looking at the picture that we have here, we've got our parallel lines, we've got our transversal, we've got same side interior angles here. So same side of the transversal and between the two parallel lines. These two are supplementary, which, just a quick reminder, that means that if we add them together, they would be 180 degrees. I think that says 5. So angle 5, I should say measure of angle 5 plus measure of angle 7 is 180 degrees.